Welcome children. Today we continue with chapter 3 of history, Nazism and the rise of Hitler for standard 9th, and this is the second part of the chapter. Children, we are going to learn about the political radicalism and the economic crisis in this video. So far children, you have seen that the Germans were very dissatisfied with the Weimar Republic. They blamed the Weimar Republic for the war and for signing such a humiliating peace treaty of Versailles on such harsh terms. They opposed the Weimar Republic and now they wanted a change in the governance. Radicalism means change in the government, and they started finding new alternatives for a different type of governance in Germany. As you know, Weimar Republic was a democratic form of government, but they opposed it and they were looking for a better form of governance. Now, as the Germans were not happy with the Weimar Republic, this was the time when the Spartacist League began to rise on the pattern of the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. So they wanted the same kind of governance as it was there in Russia. Now all over Germany there was a charged political atmosphere and there were demands for a Soviet style of governance, the same style as they were following in Russia. And what kind of a government they were following in Russia was a communist government. Now they wanted to do away with Weimar Republic, which was working on a democratic style of government. They were not happy with the Weimar Republic and they wanted a change. What kind of a change? A change on the Soviet style of government, which was communism. Now all over Germany, people wanted a change in the governance and they demanded for a Soviet style of governance. This was not liked by the Weimar Republic, and especially the supporters of the Weimar Republic, the Democrats, the Catholics and the Socialists. They held a meeting at Weimar and decided to give shape to the Democratic Republic. They also decided that they must crush this Spartacist League, which was stressing on the Soviet style of governance. Now the Spartacist League was gaining prominence all over Germany and they established their parties in every part of Germany. And now the Weimar Republic had no other option but to crush this. And how are they going to crush it? They took the help of a war veteran organization called the Free Corps. So the Weimar Republic took the help of this organization called Free Corps. And who were the members of this Free Corps? They were ex-soldiers who fought in the war and unemployed youth and ex-officers, and they hired them and they told them that they must crush this uprising of the Spartacist League. So the Spartacist League was crushed by the Weimar Republic, who took the help of the Free Corps. The Spartacist League was crushed and they were very unhappy about it, and later they founded the Communist Party of Germany. Communist because they always demanded a Soviet style of governance, and Soviet style governance was of communism, so their entire party was based on communism. Now, in spite of the Spartacist League being crushed, the conflicts between the Weimar Republic and the Spartacist League continued, and Hitler took advantage of this conflict. The economic crisis of 1923 further heightened the political radicalization in Germany. Now, as you know, people were not happy with the Weimar Republic, which was working on the democratic style of governance, but now they all demanded for a Soviet style of governance, that was communism or Communist Party. So now let us look into what were the economic crises that led to this political radicalization. Now, as Germany had lost the First World War and had to sign the Peace Treaty of Versailles, and under the Peace Treaty of Versailles there was a war guilt clause Now, according to this clause, Germany was held responsible for the war and for the damages that the Allied countries suffered, and for that it had to pay war reparations for to make up for the wrong it has done. And what was the compensation? That they had to pay 6 billion pounds. Now Germany had already taken loans for the war, okay, and now they had to pay all that war reparations, and they had to use their gold reserves, and they had to pay for the war reparations, and now this gold reserve was depleting. Now, because of the war reparation, the economic crisis deepened in Germany. Their gold reserves depleted. Now there was no option left for Germany, and they decided that they will refuse to pay for the war reparations. In 1923, now Germany refused to pay the compensation, and once Germany refused to pay for the compensation, France occupied the leading industrial area in Germany called Ruhr, which was very rich in coal. And earlier, now Germany had thought of developing this area in order to now recover from the economic crisis. But since they were unable to pay the war reparations, France then went ahead and occupied this very resourceful place called Ruhr in Germany, which was the industrial area. Now when France occupied the industrial area Ruhr, Germany had no other option. It responded with a passive resistance and started printing paper currency called Mark. It's a German currency. Recklessly, it kept on printing, and they told the French that you want money, here, take it, we are printing our money. But this did not solve the problem, and this led to hyperinflation. The value of the German paper currency called Mark fell drastically. Now let us understand what happens when countries print currency recklessly. We have often heard our parents telling us that money doesn't grow on trees. But as a kid, I always wondered, why can't we print our own money and become rich? Now let me explain to you. Now let us assume that there are only 3 people in a country, A, B and C, having a wealth of rupees 300, 200 and 100 respectively. And also there is just one commodity in the country that all the 3 of them would buy using up their wealth. Therefore, the total wealth in the country is 600. How did we get 600? 300 plus 200 plus 100 is equal to 600, and the total commodity in the country is 60 kgs of wheat. Now since they use the entire wealth to buy this commodity, the price of wheat would be rupees 10 per kg. How did we get that? 600 divided by 60. Now at this rate, A can buy 30 kgs of wheat, B can buy 20 kgs of wheat, and C can buy 10 kgs of wheat. Now one day A, B and C get hold of a currency printing machine, and they decide to double their money by simply printing more currency notes. So now they have 600, 400 and 200 respectively. So if we add up, their total wealth is 1200, but the total commodity in the country is still 60 kgs of wheat. Okay, and now we see that the new price of wheat will be 20 rupees per kg. How did we get that? 1200 divided by 60. So now they all go to buy the wheat, and with 600 rupees A will be still able to buy only 30 kgs, B will be able to buy 20 kgs, and C will be able to buy 10 kgs. Damn! They now realized how futile it was to print these notes. Merely printing of notes doesn't do good to anyone. If the total money supply is increased disproportionately to the increase of goods and services in the country, it only leads to devaluation of the currency. Although their wealth doubled, the value of the currency was halved. Now, all the three, A, B, and C, realize that in order to become rich, they need to increase the production of goods in addition to the money supply. Had the supply of wheat also doubled along with the doubling of their money, the price of wheat would remain unchanged, and with their new increased wealth, they would have been able to buy double the amount of wheat than they did before, and this would have made them wealthier. So in the same way, this same concept applies to the entire country. If the government prints billions of rupees and doubles everyone's wealth cost, the cost of everything in the country would double. Therefore, to become rich, the country has to increase its production. So you see, children, with too much of money being printed, the value of the German currency mark fell drastically. In April, $1 was equal to 24,000 marks. By July, $1 became 3,53,000. By August, $1 became 46,21,000, and by December, $1 became 9,88,60,000, and finally it turned into trillions also. So you see how devalued was the currency mark. As the value of the German currency marks collapsed, the prices of goods soared. So you can see in this picture, to buy a few vegetables, they had to pay 500, then it increased to 5,000, and then to 50,000. And it was said that to buy a loaf of bread, Germans had to carry cartloads of currency. So you can see the phenomenal rise of prices of goods. Now children, whenever the value of a currency collapses and the prices of the goods rise, this leads to a situation called hyperinflation, which means the prices of commodities increase by leaps and bounds, and that is what happened in Germany, leading to economic crisis called hyperinflation. Now looking at the economic crisis of Germany, in sympathy, America decided to help Germany to come out of this mess. So they introduced a plan which was called as Dewey's Plan, and according to this plan, the terms of repaying the war reparations were reworked to ease the financial burden of Germany. So they tried to help Germany so that they could recover from the economy and also pay the war reparations. Now the economic crisis was not yet over. We move ahead to the next topic, the years of depression. Now between 1924 and 1928, we see some stability coming into Germany. But this stability was very short-lived because the industrial recovery in Germany was dependent on short-term loans, and the large portions of this loan came from USA. Okay, but the support was withdrawn by USA after the infamous Wall Street crash. In 1929, the Wall Street Stock Exchange crashed in USA, and fearing a fall in prices, people made frantic efforts to sell their shares. On one single day, 24th October, 13th million shares were sold, and this was the start of the Great Economic Depression in USA. Now, what is a stock exchange? Well, a stock exchange is like your local vegetable market. Okay, so just like in a vegetable market, many types of vegetables are bought and sold in retail or in bulk. In the same way, in stock exchange, the shares, that is the liquid form of your vegetables, are bought and sold electronically. Between 1929 and 1932, the national income of USA fell by half. Because of this depression, factories began to shut. The exports fell, farmers were also badly hit, and speculators withdrew their money from the market. The effect of this recession was felt worldwide and had a terrible effect on the German economy. The German economy was the worst hit by the Great Depression, that is the crash of the Wall Street Stock Exchange in US in 1929, and by 1932 industrial production in Germany became 40% of what it was in 1929. The workers lost their jobs, and those who were still employed got reduced wages. They were working in half the salary, and the number of unemployment reached 6 million. Now the middle class, especially the salaried and the pensioners, saw their savings diminishing because the German currency mark had lost its value. Now the economic situation of Germany had worsened, and you could see people who queued up at the local employment exchange. The unemployed youth had no other work, but they played cards at the streets. Men were seen on the street with placards around their neck saying willing to do any work. Okay, and then this famous poster that you see, a small boy holding a placard saying, "Why can't you give my dad a job?" So you see, the situation has turned from bad to worse. Small businessmen, the self-employed, retailers, too suffered as their business got ruined. And this section was filled with the fear of proletarization. That means the fear of becoming poor. And they developed an anxiety that very soon they will be reduced to a working class or become unemployed. The peasants too were affected by the sharp fall of the agricultural prices, and women were unable to feed their children, were filled with a sense of despair. Now only the organized workers could survive a little bit, but due to unemployment they did not get that kind of salary that they deserved. Due to unemployment and economic depression, the German people started losing faith in the Weimar Republic. Now let us see what were the faults or defects in the Weimar Republic party. So now children, let us see the constitution made by the Weimar Republic. According to this constitution, every adult in the country who was 20 and above had the right to elect their representatives who would sit in the German parliament called as the Riksdag, and this election was held after every 4 years. They would also elect a president after every 7 years. Now this president had the power to appoint a chancellor. Okay, and the chancellor, among the members elected, he would choose his own cabinet or council of ministers who are very good in their field. So they would have a health minister, law minister, education minister, home minister, foreign affairs minister. Okay, so the chancellor would be heading the cabinet, and president was the head of the state, and all the armed forces of the country would report to the president. Okay, so this was the working of the Weimar Constitution. Now let us see what were the defects in the constitution. The first defect in the constitution was Article 48. In fact, this article was kept in the constitution to give some powers to the president to use during an emergency or during a natural disaster in the country. Now, with this article, the president could make laws without the consultation of the German parliament Riksdag, and he could declare emergency in the country and suspend civil rights. Now, when there was economic crisis, the president liberally used this Article 48 and he would like a dictator. So you see, children, the major defect in the Article 48 was that the president misused it. Actually, it was given to be used during an emergency and during a natural disaster in the country. But the president misused this, and with this defect, he could make his own rules without consulting the German parliament Riksdag. He could suspend the civil rights, and that means that people lost their freedom and equality. Now, Article 48 proved to be undemocratic, and this made the Weimar Republic Constitution weak, and this encouraged the people to think that an all-powerful leader is better than having an elected parliament. So now people started thinking on lines that it is better to have a dictator than to have a democratically elected leader. Now, another defect in the Weimar Republic Constitution was the proportional representation. Now, what is this proportional representation? Now, you see, people here in Germany do not vote for the candidate. Like in India, in a constituency, we have 4 candidates standing for election. Whoever secures the maximum number of votes is declared elected from that constituency. But in Germany, it's slightly different. The people do not vote for the candidate. They vote for the party. Okay? They vote for a party. And once the voting is over, all the votes are added, and then they find what percentage of vote each party has got, and according to the percentage they are given seats in the parliament. Now suppose there are 100 seats in the parliament, okay, and if party A gets 30% of the vote, that means it gets 30 seats in the parliament. If party B has secured 20% of the votes, that means it gets 20 seats in the parliament, and similarly party C secures 10% of the vote, will get 10 seats in the parliament. So even if a party gets 1%, it will get 1 seat in the parliament. Now what happens in this condition? That in order to make a government, what is required? You need to have 50% of the vote, which was very difficult to get. So it led to formation of coalition government. So children, as I mentioned, the German people voted for a party, and the voting percentage of the party determined the number of seats that they got in the parliament. So for any party to get 50% of the vote and have a majority in the parliament was very, very difficult, and it was most of the times seen that they had to join, each party had to ask the other one to join them and form a government. So such type of government, when it is formed, when 2 or more parties join, it is called a coalition government. And a coalition government, normally we have seen, is not very successful. And here too we have seen in the Weimar Republic 20 different governments lasting on an average of 239 days were formed. So you see, now people's lost confidence in the democratic parliamentary system. Okay. Now children, because of these two defects, the proportional representation and the liberal use of Article 48, people lost confidence in the democratic parliamentary system, which seemed to offer no solution except for Hitler. So the system was unstable and vulnerable to dictatorship, leading to the rise of Hitler. So people were looking for a new leader, and this is where Hitler saw his opening. Well, I'm not going to reveal anything more. Stay tuned for my next video and see how Hitler rises to power. Till then, do view and subscribe. Thank you.